Okay, this is the first lesson in working in the Canvas program, which is Brothers software, and you can find it at scannandcutcanvas.brother.com/en/home is where the login is. And once you create a login or if you already have one, log in, then you come into where you either choose a new project or existing projects. And I have selected the new project, and that's where we are here. So the first one is we're going to create some text. So I'm going to click on the text box, and I'm going to choose a font, and I'm going to come over here and double click on it so that I can delete that and type the words gone. Okay, and then I am going to select that, and I'm going to divide it, because as you can see, that is all one word, and I actually want those four to be separate, not all one word, all one image. So I want those separated, and so now you can see I can move them separately. Okay, so then I want to go over and select a different font, and let's select this one here, and I'm going to drag that down out of the way and double click on it and type in the words fishin'. So we've got gone fishin' is our two. So again, I'm going to want to divide these. Okay, so now what I want to do is take these and create them so that when it cuts, it all cuts as one, and these are not singular letters coming out. And to do that, I'm going to take the O and select it, and I'm going to take and use my arrow keys on my keyboard and nudge that over until you can see, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see it even better. Let's go in there, really get a good look at it. See where the O now overlaps the G? That's what we want. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the N. I'm going to nudge it over, and I'm using the arrow keys, like I said, and I want a little bit of an overlap there as well. Now you can see at the top here there is an overlap, but at the bottom it isn't quite overlapped. And I'm going to want that, you know what, I don't want that overlap down there, because I do want those little blank spaces in there. So now I'm going to bring the E over. Until they overlap. Okay. And then I'm going to select them all by, I'm holding down my mouse here, and I'm dragging over and selecting all four of them. Okay. And then I'm going to right click and weld, and those are going to take away all those overlaps, and now it's all one piece, and it will cut as one piece. Okay, so now we're going to go down to the fishin', and I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. So in this instance, I'm going to select all of them except for the F. Okay, so now I've got all of these, and I'm going to nudge them all at the same time. Now I want that dot of the I to be overlapped, but I also want the I to be overlapped as well. So there. So then I'm going to hold down my shift key and click on the ones that I don't need to move anymore. And that will deselect those, but these will still all be selected. So now I can go and move the S over till it overlaps. Hold down my shift key, deselect that one, arrow over, deselect with the shift key, arrow over, and deselect, and deselect, and deselect on that, and now I'm left with this. Now this needs to come over and touch that N, otherwise it will be off on its own. So we'll put that there. Now this one here, as you can see, is up all by itself as well. So what I'm going to do is bring that down and have it touching the I here, but now they're not consistent. So let's go ahead and bring this one down as well. And we'll have it connect with the I instead of the F. Again, we're going to hold our finger down and drag across to select all of them like this. And then you can also, instead of doing a right click, you could click on the edit here, and the weld choice is right here. And so we can weld those all together. Okay, so now we're going to take the fission and we're going to weld it to the gone. Okay, and I'm going to put it about like that. And that way it's overlapped here and it's overlapped there. Now if I had it over here, you'd really be cutting off that H. So that's why I'm kind of putting it off the end here. I think that'll look balanced anyway. So we're going to go about right there. And then like I said, I can use my arrow keys to nudge it this way and that. And now I'll go back up and select both of them together. And again, I can go to edit and choose weld, or I can right click and choose weld. Okay, so now that is all one piece. Okay, so now I'm going to right click on it again and I am going to duplicate it. So now I've got two of them, and let me zoom out just a tad bit. Okay. So we'll drag one of them down out of the way. So let's go ahead and work with this one. And then we are going to right click on it. We're going to go down and say create offset line. And here we are going to select a different size of offset. And the default is a pretty good size. That's almost 1/4 of an inch, and I don't want something quite that big. I'm going to go down to about 0.12. Maybe let's go down to 0.08. And you can either bring it as an offset on the outside, which would be the outward, or the inward, which would bring it on the inside of it. Okay. So we can also leave the existing one as is, or we can delete it, or we can set it to being a drawing line. So in this one, we're going to click delete, okay? And then you can have the corners be rounded or beveled. And so I'm going to leave them as rounded, and I'm going to click OK. So now you can see what we've got. We've got this exactly layered just like that. Okay. Okay, so now we have this matting. We're going to right click on it and create offset line. And we're going to make this a 0.12. And instead of deleting like we did the last time, we're actually going to leave it as is. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us leave the one there, plus give us this matting. So what we'll end up with is this and this. And so it will be actually in 3 different colors that we can print this out. Okay. So if we want to then take that file and print or cut it out, we would then save it by giving it a title. So we'll say Gone Fishing. Now we're going to say download it. Now if you just click on this button here, it's going to go directly to your downloads directory if you're on a Windows machine. And if you want it to go into a different location, you want to right click on that and say save link as. So we're going to save link as. And it takes a second. And I'm going to go into my Scan and Cut class folder and we'll put it there. And we're going to save it as Gone Fishing and click Save. And so it has saved it, and we can close that. And that is how to do welding in Canvas using text.